This ends with Paddy Pimblett getting quietly submitted in his own house and nobody's supposed to know. And before you say nah, that's impossible, rewind with me because I didn't even believe it when I heard it either. I sat on it, I checked it twice, I waited because this isn't gossip. This is the kind of detail that flips how you see a man right before the biggest fight of his life. And the fact you didn't hear it is exactly why it matters.
He could be the next Conor McGregor star.
I want that world title. All laugh all you want and say I'll never be champ. You gang of mushrooms.
Like that kind of a star where the whole
He
world
has
is watching.
that weird personality.
Yes.
Yeah, he has that.
Well, he's very disarming because people, they see, I talked about this in the last pay-per-view. I said it's a very sneaky trick because guys like you look at you, the way you carry yourself, the way you, that's a fighter. Like you look at that guy's a dangerous motherfucker. But when you see Paddy, he's dancing like this, his hair is flopping around like he's in the Beatles.
Here's the part that should make your stomach tighten, because this didn't happen on some random mat with nobody's watching. This happened in England, in Paddy's gym, in a thing that actually matters to him. A yearly ritual where pride is on the line, and he walked into it like he always does, believing he owns the room, believing the aura protects him, and then something went wrong.
The hardest round in the gym, it's just 5 minutes of getting sucked down, beat up, get a little glimpse of hope to get up, and end up catching a knee or an elbow. So hardest round in the gym, but so you get better.
Like where I'm like weird timing myself, he's even weirder. It's hard to deal with, but he's the best for a reason. It's only going to make me better. Perfect training partner for me.
If this is the start of this camp, fuck me. What's it going to look like towards the end of it?
He entered this king of the mat style grappling tournament, something he respects enough to keep coming back to, something he was co-champion of before after an hour-long war that had to be stopped. And this time, it didn't go heroic, it didn't go viral, it went quiet, and quiet in MMA is never good. Quiet means someone doesn't want you asking questions yet.
Gaethje, Paddy, what do you think it looks like?
Oh man, more skilled, more experienced, I think better fighter all around, Justin Gaethje. But I also have been on record and said that Paddy Pimblett is better than a lot of people think he is. You know, because of his haircut and the way he talks, and when I fought him, he's better than a lot of people give him credit for. He's got long reach, good kicks, pretty darn patient and composed in there, but Gaethje's a whole different animal. So if I had to bet, I'd go Justin Gaethje, interim champion, and then he beats Ilia Topuria later on this year.
I think Paddy's going to beat Justin Gaethje.
Easy.
Wow, really easy?
Yeah, easy.
That's a crazy thing to say because Justin Gaethje's a fucking animal.
Yeah, but he doesn't know how to grapple, and Paddy knows
But he's a Division I wrestler. He knows how to grapple. You don't think he knows how to grapple? He just chooses not to.
Did you ever saw him submitting someone?
I don't believe he's ever submitted someone, but I think that's because he likes to just crush people.
If you have the ability to submit someone as soon as you can, you would do it.
Damn, what could be next for Paddy? Ilya says he thinks Paddy kills Justin Gaethje. I don't think kill him, dude. Justin Gaethje is so fucking solid. But again, a 5-round fight, 2, 3, 4 rounds into the match, and Paddy does score a takedown. Now he's got maybe Justin Gaethje on his back in half guard.
That's very plausible. Justin forgets he fucking wrestled.
He definitely trains it, but you could see why Ilya thinks that a little bit. Plus, Justin Gaethje's 36, Paddy Pimblett's 30 years old. But again, you can't count Justin Gaethje out. He could knock Paddy the fuck out.
I would lean towards Justin in that fight.
He got beat, and yeah, read that again slowly. Paddy the Baddy got submitted, and the wild part is most fans don't even know what I'm talking about right now, which tells you this stayed inside walls for a reason. Because the second that leaks loud, it collides head-on with the image of invincibility being sold ahead of Gaethje.
I just had the coolest story, and I heard this yesterday, and I didn't bring it to you because I didn't believe it. I had to confirm it. So Paddy the Baddy just got beat. Paddy the Baddy, as a matter of fact, got submitted. Do you guys even know what I'm talking about? So there's something that goes on in England. This is Paddy's gym. Paddy enters this thing every year. It's called something. And then they have a king of the mat. It's a grappling tournament, but they have this thing, this king of the mat. Paddy was in the finals a year ago, and after an hour, they just stopped the match and called it a draw. So he was a co-champion. So whatever this thing is, it's a thing that matters to him. So he enters it, I guess, over the weekend. I guess. And he ends up getting beat. Now, one of the reasons it's so cool is I don't think you have heard about it. One of the reasons I think it's so cool is there's no other sport where this would happen. One of the reasons I think it's so cool is it doesn't matter. And that's one cool thing about our community. Like if a guy like Paddy wants to go out there and take a risk and do something like this, he can chalk that up to a tremendous victory. He can also chalk that up to a workout. And you know what? we need to keep it that way. It's one thing that we have done very well as a group, and there's no other sport that's like that. You will never hear of a time that LeBron drops in for a one-on-one with the college star. He just couldn't take the risk. He just simply could not take the risk. This happened when I was a kid. It was to John McEnroe in Oregon. This was before the internet was a thing, but John McEnroe came out and he played somebody. We had some high school star down in, it was down in Eastern Oregon. I want to say maybe Pendleton. At any rate, the guy beat him. Our high school star beat McEnroe, and this was a thing. This was a thing. But it's one of these reasons why you can't ever get that. Like, you are left to believe that the NBA is better than the NCAA. You're led to believe the NFL is better than college football. I'm sure you're right, but there's exceptions, and there's certain positions at certain times where there are exceptions. You will never know. Those guys will never take the risk. They will never take to the field. They will never take to a three-point stance and go, they'll just never do it. On the outside chance that somebody's filming and somebody puts it, it's one of those things. And you get guys that love to compete. I mean, I got one resentment towards our sport, one, which is that we only do it 3 times a year. I mean, I can't even tell you the lack of respect that I have for a guy that misses a martial arts fight.
Now, don't twist this. This isn't about saying Paddy is weak. This is about understanding risk, because there is no other sport on earth where a star like this would even step into something like that weeks before a mega fight. No NBA, no NFL, no safety net, just ego and competition, and a willingness to gamble reputation in silence.
Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett should not be for an interim title. So it was announced that Justin and Paddy will be fighting in January as UFC 324's headliner, and as much as I like this matchup, I have a problem with it being for an interim title, because champion Ilia Topuria says he won't be fighting in the first quarter of 2026 due to personal reasons, so he expects to make his return around spring. So not only do I think that is not too long enough to warrant an interim title fight, but it also feels wrong to have this fight without Arman Tsarukyan in it. This is a belt for the 3rd best fighter in the division, and honestly, it may not even be for the 3rd best when we consider fighters like Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira. This is something the UFC did to appease Justin, who has basically said he's only fighting for UFC gold, and for Paddy, who the promotion wants to see become a champion. Overall, great fight, and I'm going to side with Paddy on this one, as I think Justin is past his best days, but yeah, this should not be for an interim title. But what do you think?
That's why this story is so cool and so dangerous at the same time, because in MMA, you're allowed to lose in private and still win in public. You're allowed to chalk it up as training, as growth, as a workout, but only if nobody weaponizes it against you, and you can feel how fragile that balance is right now.
I expect the war, obviously. Like, Justin Gaethje is one of my favourite fighters to watch. He's your favourite fighter's favourite fighter, and it's going to be a pleasure to get in there with him. I'd love to have a brawl for 5 rounds. As he said, him versus Michael Johnson, how he introduced himself to the UFC. I'd love to have a fight like that, but I don't think it'll pan out that way. But let's see what happens. Hopefully, I'm getting a performance bonus and a fight of the night bonus.
I've got one resentment with this sport, and it shows up right here, which is that we don't fight enough. Real fighters want to compete. They want friction, they want chaos, and Paddy is that kind of guy. But loving competition doesn't protect you from consequences when timing is wrong. And the timing right now is razor thin.
Rumors have been swirling that Justin Gaethje is injured. A few videos have surfaced of him diving and cracking heads with someone which wobbled him bad. Do you have any inside information? Have you not heard of this? Okay, actually, I got to be honest. I thought you guys were talking about, I thought he was going to ask about, I saw a bunch of pictures about this thing.
Though, right?
Yeah, the ingrown hair is what he's claiming.
Okay. Right.
Ingrown hair and a bit of brisket, yeah.
Brisket?
Yeah, a little brisket on the chin.
Because they said he had herpes on his mouth. He's like, I was eating brisket and I had an ingrown hair.
If that is an ingrown hair, that's the gnarliest ingrown hair I've ever seen. That makes like a little red dot on your neck if it's an ingrown hair. He had a crater in his neck. I don't know about that.
By the way, could you imagine, just for a moment, you know where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
You know where I'm going with this?
I do know exactly where you're going.
Enter Arman.
Yes.
Enter Arman.
Yes, it's time. Now, is Arman ready is the thing.
Is that what he walks out
to? Those videos.
No, but
I'm like, oh, fuck.
Enter Arman.
Enter Arman. Walking out there, eating a fucking turkey leg. I mean, come on.
100
Think about this. Imagine LeBron dropping into a college gym for once. Imagine Mahomes lining up against a random D-line in pads. They never would, because cameras exist, because narratives exist, because legacy is curated. But MMA doesn't work like that, and that freedom is both beautiful and terrifying. I saw this once when I was a kid with McEnroe. No internet, no filters, a nobody beat a legend, and it became a thing. And that's exactly what would happen here if this fully surfaces. Because fans don't care about context when blood is in the water, they care about cracks. And here's the paranoia creeping in, because ask yourself why now? Why did this happen right as Gaethje footage is dropping? Right as training intensity spikes? Right as pressure tightens? And why are people around the camp suddenly talking about toughness and culture instead of dominance and control? There's something else too, and I can feel it. Because this didn't leak on accident. Someone whispered this to test reaction, to see if it spreads, to see if people bite. And when stories like that start floating, it usually means someone is positioning themselves for what comes next. You want another uncomfortable thought, because I've got one. What if this submission is exactly why the training looks like drowning now? What if the panic drills, the exhaustion, the forced calm are a response, not a plan? And nah, that makes my skin crawl just thinking it. People will say this doesn't matter, and they're right until it suddenly does, because if Gaethje stuffs a takedown or clamps on late and Paddy hesitates for half a second, every buried memory comes screaming back, and that's how fights turn in moments nobody can explain. I'm not saying this defines him, I'm saying it exposes the reality of who he is, a competitor who will risk looking human even when the world wants him mythic, and that's admirable right up until the night the wrong guy uses it against you. And don't get comfortable yet, because there are still pieces missing, names not said, details being avoided, and I don't trust how carefully this is being framed, because MMA never hides things unless it's afraid of the timing. So sit with that, a star quietly tapped in his own house, a fight with a chaos god approaching, footage surfacing, whispers growing, and no resolution yet, because this story isn't done unfolding, not even close, and the next update could flip everything again. I'm telling you right now, this entire situation reeks of something unfinished. And that's what scares me, because when a story refuses to close in MMA, it usually means someone is about to lose years of credibility overnight. And the fact people are laughing this off like a quirky gym anecdote tells me they're missing how fragile reputations become when pressure starts leaking out in public. Everyone keeps saying losing in a random grappling event doesn't matter, but that's a lie. We tell ourselves to stay comfortable because what actually matters is timing. And this happened right when Paddy's image is being stretched to its limit and right before the most unforgiving style matchup of his career, which is never coincidence in this sport. I don't buy the wholesome community angle either. Not fully, because yes, fighters compete and take risks, but the cameras didn't accidentally miss this and the silence afterward wasn't accidental. Which makes me think someone made a call to keep this quiet until it couldn't be controlled anymore. Gaethje being on the other side of this makes it worse because he doesn't need narratives, he doesn't need hype, he just shows up and erases versions of people, and if Paddy walks in even 1% unsure of who he is after that loss, then this turns from a fun chaos matchup into a slow public dismantling. People underestimate how much Paddy's whole aura relies on appearing untouchable mentally. And once that cracks, everything else gets louder. The doubts, the cardio questions, the defense gaps, and you don't notice it until you're already backing up against the fence, eating leg kicks. You can't return. And don't get me started on the interim belt talk, because that feels like gasoline on a fire that's already burning too hot, since belts change how losses are perceived, and suddenly this isn't development or learning, it's failure under expectation, which the UFC loves to pretend doesn't matter until it absolutely does. What bothers me most is how divided everyone is, because that's usually the warning sign before something ugly happens, where half the fan base pretends it was obvious all along, and the other half swears the system was rigged, and both sides leave angrier than before. I keep thinking about the training footage too, because people see toughness, but I see desperation when fighters push that hard publicly, and I've seen this movie where calm training suddenly turns into panic when the real pressure doesn't let up and there's no coach yelling encouragement anymore. Gaethje doesn't give you moments to reset, and that's the quiet killer in this matchup, because Paddy thrives on chaos with pauses and scrambles, and Gaethje thrives on chaos that never stops, and those are two very different kinds of violence. Age gets thrown around like a lazy argument, but mileage matters more. And yes, Gaethje has miles, but they're miles against monsters and wars that harden you in ways dancing through prospects never does, and that experience shows up when things go wrong, not when they go right. I also don't trust the injury whispers or the weird rumors floating around because those stories only surface when people are already nervous and trying to explain away future outcomes before they happen, which tells me insiders are hedging emotionally. Arman lurking in the background makes this whole thing feel unstable too, because everyone knows he's the nightmare matchup nobody wants to acknowledge, and pretending he doesn't exist doesn't erase the reality that the division knows who the real long-term problem is. The scariest part is that Paddy winning doesn't even calm things down, because then the questions shift to whether Gaethje was washed and whether the belt means anything, and suddenly Paddy's not chasing greatness, he's defending legitimacy, which is a much heavier burden. I can't shake the feeling that someone is lying somewhere in this story, whether it's about preparation, health confidence, or future plans, because too many pieces don't align cleanly, and MMA rarely rewards people who try to control narratives instead of outcomes. This fight feels less like a contest and more like a fork in the road, where one path leads to superstardom under scrutiny and the other leads to brutal reevaluation, and those moments tend to break people louder than knockouts ever could. Fans think the pressure is equal, but it's not, because Gaethje has already survived being doubted and written off, and Paddy hasn't truly tasted that yet. And the first time is always the hardest, especially when millions are watching. You learn it live. Every time someone confidently predicts an easy win, I flinch, because easy wins don't exist at this level, and certainty is usually just fear. Wearing a loud costume, trying to drown out what everyone feels but won't say out loud yet. The worst outcome might not even be a loss, but a war that exposes everything, because 5 rounds of sustained damage can rewrite how the public sees you without ever putting you to sleep, and that kind of loss follows you into every future matchup. I keep circling back to that quiet detail about this event mattering to Paddy personally, because when pride gets involved, logic leaves the room and emotional investments are dangerous right before someone like Gaethje forces you to make ugly decisions. Nothing about this feels settled, and that's what keeps me uneasy, because the closer we get, the more it feels like we're all being positioned to react, not to understand, and when the cage door closes, whatever truth comes out won't be kind or clean or easy to walk back from.